Welcome to another episode of Focus on Taekwondo. I'm the host and founder of this podcast, Mark Russell. Have you ever wondered what it takes to get your black belt, win a tournament, perfect a poomsae, or defend yourself in the street? Well, here at Focus on Taekwondo, we intend to help you find those answers. We interview top professionals in their field, including masters, athletes and coaches, to give you an insight into what it takes for you to be the best you can be at this modern day, ancient global martial art and sport that is Taekwondo. Today's interview is with Master RONDY. She is the owner of White Tiger Taekwondo and Martial Arts, known as the world's largest super school located in Cary, North Carolina, USA. The 24,000 square foot school just celebrated its 22nd anniversary and enrolled its 12,000th student. Master RONDY lived in Korea from 94 to 96 as a member of the Korean Tigers professional demonstration team. Today she is the program director and instructs at White Tiger, is a columnist for Taekwondo Times magazine, serves on the Kukiwon Advisory Board and the US Taekwondo Committee. Master RONDY also travels the world to share her marketing and PR background to help other school owners achieve their dream. So today's interview is going to be quite an interesting one. Okay, so hi RONDY, how are you?
Hi there, how are you? It's good to talk to you again.
Yeah, I know it's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
So we first met when my instructor, Master Andy Brown from Glasgow, had met you over in Korea, and you invited him and some of his students to come over to White Tiger Taekwondo headquarters in Cary, North Carolina, maybe 97, 98?
Yeah, that was, let me see, that was at the old school, right?
Yeah, that was the original one, yeah.
Yeah, so that was so long ago, like another lifetime ago.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, to be honest, it's amazing, but I feel it's kind of expected seeing how much White Tiger and your profile has grown since those days.
Oh, so much has changed. So much has changed. We've been in business for 22 years now. We celebrated in January.
It's crazy, yeah. So would you like to tell our listeners just a little bit about your background and how you came to get where you are today?
Sure. Well, it's kind of a long story, but I'll shorten it up. I'm originally from Michigan, from the Upper Peninsula, but my background was marketing and advertising. So, of course, if you want to be employed, you have to move to the city. So I moved to Detroit, and that was my job. I worked for many companies doing advertising and marketing. And then, it got to a point where, I could do this on my own, and I made my own company. But I just found that I was very young, and being a female down in a big city, very quickly I found a need for self-defense. And that's how I started taking martial arts. I actually went to the police and I said, I'm going to need to get a gun. I've been robbed and mugged quite a few times, and I need a gun. And they kind of laughed at me, and they said, you're too little, and the bad guy's going to take the gun, and the next time, now he's going to have a gun. And so I backed off a little bit, and I said, okay, so how about some pepper spray or some mace? And they said the same thing. They'll just take it away from you, and now you'll be sprayed with it. And so it really got me thinking about what would be the safest thing for me to do, and it kind of led me to martial arts.
Okay, yeah.
So anyways, it got to a point in my life where I think everybody gets to this point where what does your life really mean? Does it really have value? I found in my marketing world, I was making people make decisions about buying purchases, right? What kind of ice cream they bought, what kind of car they bought. And I suppose that's important. But in my martial arts, I found that as I was getting higher in rank, I was starting to teach some classes, and then I was really, really changing like people's lives, and it just seemed like it was so much more important, the martial arts part of my life, as opposed to what I did for a living. And I wanted more and more people to know about this thing that I had found in martial arts, and about how I felt so much more comfortable and more confident. And by being more confident, I felt I no longer needed self-defense, because I was no longer the easy target. I wasn't picked out like I was before. And that's when I sat down with my master about how could we get more people to come into the school, right? This is everybody's issue, even today. And what we came up with, without having an advertising budget, was to do demos, to do demonstrations. You do public demonstrations, people see it, and they'll come. And so I really started focusing on creating a demo team and working on the demo team. And that's when my master brought me in. Keep in mind, it was many years ago, but he brought me in all those tapes of the Korean Tigers,
Yeah.
the K Tigers. And oh my goodness, I was mesmerized. I sat and I watched those tapes again and again. And I'm like, okay, we're going to do this. And so I come back to the school and I try to get my own students, stack them up, 3 people high. We're going to jump through the air. We're going to pick this apple off the sword. And, my master walks in and he's like, you're going to kill them. And he said, you can't do it this way. You need to know how they train. And he said, I'll take you to Korea and you can see the Korean Tigers. Because
Brilliant.
you videotape them and you'll know how they do it. And so, of course, that was the dream. So, I prepared. We had 6 months to prepare. I did all this extra training. I went to a Korean church on the weekend so I could learn Korean, so I could learn how to read and write. And all my other classmates were like 7 years old, and they were all better than me, and they all laughed at me. But I learned some of the basics, and then the big plan came. We went and we purchased this camera, which back then made it look like I worked for CNN. Because remember the
Yeah,
cameras
yeah.
tape inside of it, so I had these big
Huge tapes. Yeah, yeah. Huge cameras.
So I show up and we get to Korea and there's the Korean Tigers training inside this building and the coach comes out, Anak Sun, and he said, well, I noticed there was other people standing around as well. And that's when he said, you can't just come in. It doesn't just work this way. You can't just waltz right in here and start watching the Korean Tigers. And everybody else wanted the same thing as
Hmm.
well. And so my master talked to him, and the next thing I knew, my master said, put on your uniform, and we were outside. We were outside downtown Seoul in January.
Hmm.
And, girls can do that though. We can get dressed through a jacket. We've done that before. And so, next thing I know, I have on my uniform and he opens up the door and I'm into auditions.
Cool.
And yeah. And so this just happened for 2 weeks in a row. Just come back tomorrow, come back tomorrow, come back tomorrow. And then when they went on tour, they asked me to come with. And so this 1 month trip that I had planned to go to Korea to watch turned into me actually joining the team, accepting the position and traveling for the next 2 years with the Korean Tigers.
Brilliant. Yeah, what a
There's,
story.
yeah, so just, I lived in Korea and got to train with them and just got to learn so much. But the other thing is that it changes you. You can't unsee what you have seen. And when I tried to go back home and go back to my old school in the old way that we were training, I couldn't do it.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
tried to implement these changes, and my master's like, "What are you doing? You're crazy. You have, had all these wild ideas." And I tried to explain to him, this is how they're training nowadays in Korea. He left in the 60s.
Yeah.
For him, time stopped back then, but Korea has moved on and own school because you're not going to fit in here. And so, I kind of got kicked out, and that's when I went and I made my own school. I went to another state. I wanted to have respect for my master and never have to compete within the same state. So I did a demographic study. I found North Carolina. Had never been there before in my entire life, but the demographics look good, and that's where I made White Tiger, and I had it up and running in 5.5 weeks.
Wow. That's amazing, huh?
Yeah, so that's how that started,
Yeah.
and it just, it was something new in that area. They just weren't used to these incredible techniques from the Korean culture mixed with the American business.
Hmm.
And that combination just blew people's minds, and that school just exploded. I broke even within 3 months. And, by the end of 3 years, we had reached 1,000 students,
Wow.
which is just phenomenal. I mean, we were so overpacked in that space. We had 4,000 square feet that, every event, every class, I'm looking over my shoulder for the fire marshal, because we're way exceeding our amounts of people that we can have in there. And this is running classes 7 days a week up until 11 o'clock at night to accommodate all those students. So it became obvious that I needed more space. And, I just started doing the math, doing the projections, and to continue leasing with more space or to actually build my own within 7 years would be the same amount.
Mm.
And so just business-wise, I'm like, "I need to build." And I didn't, I don't know how to build. I don't know how to make a building, but I know how to read some books. And
Yeah.
so, I just read some books and I made a plan and made a design. And then, I'm artsy, so I was able to make a 3D model of it and, found the perfect property and built the building.
And what an amazing building as well. I mean, I came over for the grand opening in 2000, and it was it just blew my mind, to be honest. I mean, like when you said before you started, and it was a new thing for people in America, well, for in Kerry. I think you're underestimating your business side of things as well, because obviously, having the Korean style as well is amazing, but
Mhm.
if it was just that on its own, I don't think it would have worked. But to have the combination of your business and the Korean style as well, I think that was what made it a success and made, the new building was amazing.
Well, I designed it with keeping the entire family in mind, that it was something for absolutely everybody. Because there's so many activities out there where the parents have to sit and watch the kids.
Yeah.
Or there's activities for adults that certainly aren't for children. And I just wanted to make a family fitness facility, that this was just something that was for everybody, whether they're training together in the same classroom or they have their own thing going on in 4 different rooms. We can run 4 classes at the same time.
Yeah. Hmm. Uh,
So,
and it worked. I mean, when I came over and seen the setup, I was very shocked at what you'd achieved as well. I mean, you were picking kids up in a limousine, taking them back to the school for after school stuff. You had a teacher there teaching them as well, and
yeah.
then they were doing taekwondo as well, and then there was the evening classes for the adults as well. It was just like the place was just buzzing, and it was a family environment. It was really good, and everybody made us feel very welcome as well.
Oh, well, that's nice. But if you think about it from the marketing standpoint, kids quit activities,
Yeah.
right? Adults quit activities even easier.
Hmm.
But what family is going to quit something that they've made a commitment to? So, they say families that kick together stick together, and that's true. Because
Yeah.
if a family says, we're going to do this, they're going to do it. Our school is filled with over 40%, the entire family.
That's brilliant. That's a
And
great
that's,
achievement. Yeah.
and that's what's been so important to our retention.
Hmm.
We have great recruitment, but our retention is even better. I have students that have been with me for over 2 decades.
Yeah, it's
And,
good.
and I'm actually getting to the point now where I am teaching second generation. So my original students, I am now teaching their children.
That's great. Yeah, that's
And I
really good.
told them the rule is when I start teaching their grandchildren, then that's when I get to retire. That's when I go to the beach.
I think that's fair. Yeah, I think that's fair. So, I mean, so now you're also running business seminars all over the world, and your most recent one is in Spain right now.
Okay, yes. Right now, I'm currently in Spain. I'm here for a month. I had 4 different stops along the way. I did a 2-day show in Mallorca. So even though it was in Spain, my attendees were all from Germany. So I presented in English and it was translated into German. So that was fun in Spain. Uh, my next location, they flew me to Valencia where I shot the cover of Budo magazine and then also did the filming for a video. So they put together a video that actually promotes that magazine.
Brilliant.
So I did that for a couple days. Right now, I'm in Barcelona and I'm on my way to Alicante, where I'm going to do 2 things. One, I'm going to teach a business seminar, and there's going to be instructors in Wing Chun from all over the world. So I'll be presenting in English and hopefully we'll have some translators. And then I'm also going to be training with my Sifu, Samuel Kwok. He has a training camp every year, so I'll
Excellent.
be I'll be going there. And today is actually his birthday. It's his 70th
Oh, brilliant.
birthday.
Oh, happy
Happy
birthday then.
birthday.
Yeah, that's great.
Yes.
Yeah. So it sounds like it's really hard. It's a hard life you have.
No, no, I've got a sweet life.
Yeah, that's it, definitely. But I think you've earned that, to be fair.
I get to travel the world, and then when I do go to work, I get to wear my pajamas, and I don't even have to put on shoes. So,
That's it. Perfect. So if you're happy, I'd like for you to just tell us a little bit about the kind of things you teach in those seminars. Is that okay?
sure, sure. Sometimes, like at the Super Show, I'll be in Vegas this summer. They just asked me just to teach one subject, and that subject I'll be teaching in Vegas is a calendar event or a calendar year of special events and marketing.
Okay.
So, what a school owner should be doing each and every month. We usually work on a 3-month advance. So, right now, I would be working on things that would be coming up 3 months later. 'Cause you need to prepare, you need to market.
Yeah.
So, I'll go through the entire year for them. So that way it can help them just write down or take their notes and just have their whole year ahead of them. And it's a mixture of techniques that I'll put together. For recruitment, you need new students each and every month. And then the second part is retention, to retain the students that you do have. And then also the whole time you need to start thinking about staff development, about not just who's running your school today, but who's going to run it in 5 years and who's going to run it in 10 years.
Yeah.
So it has a lot to do with the selection and the training and the motivation of future staff and team members.
Yeah.
Now, I also teach, sometimes they'll ask me to specify like a search subject, like for example, field trips. I was asked to do field trips for a webinar just a few weeks ago. And this is where you would, during the summer when the kids are off school, you would actually sell a field trip to other places like YMCAs or churches or anybody that would have a bunch of children that they watch during the day. And so we kind of sell it like an event. You come to our school, you stay for 90 minutes. We'll do a demonstration. We'll teach you a little bit of a trial lesson. We'll do some fun activities, and then you go home. But it's a great way for marketing because it gets those kids into your school and they get to have a good time. But at the same time, we're making money because we're selling the field trip.
It's brilliant. Yeah.
And basically the same thing with birthday parties. If you really think about it, not if you were to ask a room full of 100 kids who would like to do martial arts, you're only going to get a few that are going to raise their hand because they're not sure.
Because they don't know what it is. Yeah.
Now you ask that same group of kids, who's going to have a birthday this year? Now you just increased your market. So we'll sell birthday parties, and we'll have the birthday party at White Tiger. So it will have, basically the same thing. We'll have a demonstration. We'll do a trial lesson so they get to try it out and do some fun activities. They eat their cake, but we'll have all these kids come into our facility, and we charge for the birthday party. So instead of putting an ad out there where I would pay for this ad and people might come, I have them pay me and they do come because it's a birthday party.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'll teach them things like that. Just with my background being in marketing, I know that marketing can be very expensive, but I also know that it can not only be free, but you can find ways to actually generate income from your marketing.
It's great. Yeah, it's really good. Yeah. So you do them in Vegas as well.
Yeah, I'm at the Super Show every year. The Super Show it has thousands of people that come, thousands of school owners that come in from all over the world, and we meet for a couple days in Vegas. This year it's at the Bellagio, and it's just seminar after seminar after seminar on all these different subjects.
Yeah, that's great.
So I've been going for years, and I still go. I'll still find little tidbits like, oh, that was a good idea, or that gives me an idea to do something different or tweak something when I get home. So
yeah, it's good. It's networking as well, isn't it? Even for you.
Exactly. And, of course, I get a lot of new marketing customers from there as well.
No, it's great.
We find that we all come across the same issues here and there. And, I have a lot of experience, a lot of years in business, and, we can share ideas. And I find that they're all like-minded, that they're all looking for improving their school and offering better customer service. So it's a really great event for me. I love going to that show every year. And then I have many others that are scheduled throughout the year as well. I'm traveling every month this year.
Wow, that's good. So we'll get details of that from your website or from some of your social media as well later on, I'm sure.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, exactly.
Okay, cool. So touching on the part, what would you say is the biggest problem that faces independent martial arts schools?
It changes all the time, but I think and always people always have an issue with finding instructors. It's hard to grow without instructors, and of course, you want to have instructors from in-house, but like in my case, I've hired everybody that's of the possible age that wants to work in martial arts.
Hmm.
Sometimes I have to look outside. And before we always made a phone call and we hired instructors from Korea. You can always get incredible instructors from Korea, but now we have a different presidency, and that's
Okay.
not so easy anymore.
Yeah.
In fact, I haven't been able to get a single foreign visa
Wow.
yet. So, now we really have to look in-house, or it's even more important that we train from in-house. Because I think the next couple of years, I'm not getting any interns or instructors from Korea.
Right. Okay. That's a shame, huh?
hmm
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the other thing is, you just really need to train these team members right. Taekwondo, as you know, is going through a lot of controversy, a lot of issues right now, and we just really need to focus on finding the right people for the job.
Yeah. That goes right the way to the top as well.
Yes.
Yeah. So what kind of things keep coming up in the seminars, in your seminars from other school owners? Is this why you have set up the White Tiger Global Alliance?
Exactly. Yes. So I can really help them out with my marketing background. I can help them out with techniques that are not going to cost them money, that will help to bring new students into their school each and every month. Because no matter how good you are, you're always going to have some attrition. You're always going to have, students that move away, or for whatever reason, end up leaving, or even aging out. And I can give them some techniques that will help them to keep new customers in. Now, the other part of that is, once you have those customers, you need to keep them there. And it seems like so many schools have issues. It seems like the two major areas are beginners, that they'll get trial lessons that will come in that won't continue on, or it seems like they have a lot of trouble with the opposite end, with people testing for black belt and then poof, never seeing them again in their
Right.
entire lives.
Yeah. So how do you do the Global Alliance? Is it by is it over online? Is it or
It is. It's online, although sometimes people will come and we'll spend a weekend at the school. So there's all different levels. There's just your basic level where I give you some general ideas. Then there's like the mid level where you'll get more of my video modules, where I'll put something together every month that will cover a very specific topic. Like last month, I covered um, handling from trial lessons, how to upgrade them. And my success rate so far has been, with this new process that I'm doing, has been over 100%, which is kind of funny that I
yeah?
can
I
say
was
that.
gonna
But,
say, yeah.
and the reason that I can say that is I'm not only upgrading every single one of the trials that are coming in, I'm adding on a mom or dad when I go to do the final sale. So that's how I can say over 100%.
That's
So it's
brilliant.
more
Yeah.
enrolling more people than I had trials. So that was great. Um, and then we also have a lot of techniques to keep your black belts involved. There's, if you think about especially in Taekwondo with Cookie One, from first degree to second degree, we're like, okay, we're going to teach you Kum Gung.
Yeah. And that's it. Yeah. Hmm.
That's it. Have fun. Yeah, we're going to spread that out over a couple years. And so I've had to add to my curriculum. I've had to add other things, or even other styles,
Hmm. No, that's good.
to,
Yeah.
to keep them motivated.
Is this all available on your website then?
It is. I'm starting a new group of people that need marketing. It starts on April the 15th. So if they go to Global Alliance, they'll see the three different tiers. So there's really kind of just like the very entry level tier, there's that mid level tier, and then the third tier, the top level tier, is where I actually will talk with these school owners each and every month. And, if they have specific issues, I'll offer suggestions, or even the forms or the documents or the manuals that I've used that have helped me overcome. Uh, it's very rare that someone would come up with an issue that I haven't already faced and found a way to overcome.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah. So now in your school, how many students have you had come through the door?
Everybody has an ID number. So this year, we celebrated 22 years, and we also celebrated our 12,000th student.
That's brilliant. So yeah, you're bound to come up with every good and bad scenario. So that's amazing.
I,
So
I don't think there's something that I haven't handled.
that's great. Yeah. No, that's brilliant. I
I've
can
handled
imagine.
things you wouldn't even dream of. It's just amazing. I mean, it's a lot of people, and that's a lot of families, and it's never been boring.
Yeah.
Not one of those 22 years have ever been boring. I can tell you that.
No, that's great. That's great. So just moving on to like obviously some kind of more national things. Two of our GB national coaches, Paul Green and Gareth Brown, they've both picked up coach and director jobs within the US Taekwondo coaching team. Do you have much experience in the national team setup? Do you have any advice for or warnings for them?
No, for obvious reasons, I kind of try to separate myself from that.
Hmm.
Um, it just seems like there's always a mess going on. But, and I don't have that many competitors.
Hmm.
You'll find most school owners will find that the more and more they get into the business aspect, the less they will focus on competition. Um, I've had a competition team before. I've had some really good players,
Yeah.
and when you make them really good, you have to send them somewhere else. They have to go to OTC, or what's even worse is that other countries will come in and will sponsor your players.
Right.
So
Okay.
I've actually had two of my players stolen from the Ivory Coast
Wow.
that will pay them to fight for them. So, I run a business. I'm not going to pay my students to stay at my school.
Yeah.
So, over the years, I've just kind of learned that competition is fun, but it's not really good business sense.
Hmm.
So, no, we don't really get that involved with the politics. I stay active enough with the Taekwondo, with the U.S. Taekwondo Committee, and also, with Kukiwan, but not really involved with our team and our coaching. um,
Hmm.
we only have 4 people on the team, so or that get to go
Yeah.
anywhere. So that's the numbers are so small, and I really don't have anybody that wants to make the commitment that you would have to make
Yeah.
to go that far. They're just not that serious. We're
It,
more of a family school.
Yeah, I mean it is a lot of traveling, it's a lot of money,
Right.
competing can be difficult, you know. So I understand, and that's the good thing about martial arts is that you don't have to compete. You know, you can just come and develop yourself.
And what I'm finding, my students, I think they do like to compete, but what is becoming more and more popular is the Hanmadan style competitions, where
Yeah.
they have everything really except for fighting.
Hmm.
Um, and they're very happy tournaments. They're very family friendly. Everybody's happy. They seem very fair. There's the U.S. Hamadan that is coming up in Colorado Springs in July. I'm going to be part of that. We have
Brilliant.
a local one as well in North Carolina, but everyone is invited to come to the one out in Colorado Springs. And I've been to that several years. That is a fantastic tournament. That is just a fun tournament for everybody. It's a very happy tournament, well-run tournament. Everybody that goes is smiling and happy, and it's a great motivator for everybody that goes to that.
Yeah.
Um, but your question that you had, if I had any advice for guys that are coming to teach, just stick with the basic. I think we all, when we earned our black belt, once upon a time, right? Is this common over there, where you raise your hand and you get sworn in as a black belt?
No, we don't swear as a black belt. No.
Well, maybe you guys need this.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Maybe I'll ask you a quick. We'll get onto that later.
Yeah, you want I'll say it for you real quick, because just think about what it means when you get sworn in. You're given this honor of receiving a black belt from your school. We have our students raise their right hand, and it's I state my name, of course,
Hmm.
and they have to repeat this. I intend to develop myself in a positive manner. I will avoid anything that will reduce my mental health or physical health. I intend to develop self-discipline in order to bring out the best in myself and others. I intend to use what I learn in class constructively and defensively to help my fellow man, and I will never abuse this privilege and power bestowed upon me. And I think all the troubles that we have right now is because this simple creed, this simple oath that all of our black belts take is not being followed.
Yeah, it's powerful.
I mean,
It's good.
it's so simple, right? Just you'll never abuse this privilege and power.
Yeah.
Use it for the right thing. And I think it could solve everything. So anyway, so that's how I would solve all those issues.
Yeah, that's good. Okay. Right.
But I really find with a family school is that we really work on the black belt character traits. Each and every week, we introduce a new black belt character trait. Like maybe this week is respect, and Monday we'll talk about respect in the dojan. Tuesday we'll talk about respect in your home. Next we'll respect in your school, respect for others, and then even respect for yourself. And I just think at the end of the day, when my kids have learned those values, that's so much more important as to what their spinning back hook kick looks like.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, it's a great point. That is the good thing about your school. I mean, when I went before, I saw the big banners that came down, and it was this week's leadership, or this week's the
Black belt life skill.
yeah, the
Yes,
life skill.
exactly.
Well, is going to be courtesy or respect, and it's great. It's really, really good. And your students do live it. When you come in, they are very courteous, they are respectful, and it shows that it does work.
Yes, and that's part of it. It's my job is not just to make good martial artists; it's to make good people.
Yeah,
To
yeah.
help them mold their character and to grow up the right way.
Hmm. Yeah, that's good. So, I mean, obviously, I know you're really busy in that. But I mean, would you like to get more involved within the World Taekwondo setup if you could, and what would you like to do and see what happened?
I probably would not.
Hmm.
It's just I'm involved enough, I think, with Kukiwan so that they've granted me with some power so I can help right a lot of wrongs
Okay.
with a lot of certification out there that wasn't issued properly or was fake or
Yeah. Yeah.
was never issued in the first place. And what's happening is a lot of those school owners that were given certification that wasn't correct long ago, now they have students of their own and they can't certify their students for Kukiwan because they don't have the right credentials. So I'm working with Kukiwan to help correct some of that, to try and get people up to speed, the school owners, where their certification needs to be so that they in turn can get their own students properly certified through Kukiwan. So I'm very involved with that, and then I'm involved with the U.S. Taekwondo Committee, and that is to help promote tournaments like the Hamadan and more of the family values. I
Okay.
just feel like that's so much more important than the Olympics.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. No, that's fair. That's a fair point. So you'd mentioned the cookie one there, and it's still responsible for Taekwondo black belt certification and master training. Do you think there's something more that the cookie one could do to promote and spread the knowledge? Because they have some of the most highest ranking masters out there.
Right, right. Well, I think they're making a start with people like me that they're letting us try to fix some of these wrongs that were done long ago.
Yeah.
So that they were wondering how come more people than ever practice taekwondo, but yet there's less certified black belts than ever. That
Hmm.
was really like a mystery. I'm like, well, it's because 20 years ago when this master received a fake certificate, he can't do anything about it, and so his students are school issued and not cookie one. So it took decades for us to figure out how this was all happening, because it takes if your master is still around and they say we'll get you certificates for your students, you just believe them. You
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
you just take what they give you, and it's not until their master is passing on that they're figuring it out that oh, I can't do this on my own.
Hmm. Hmm.
Cookie one doesn't know who I am, and so it's taken a long time for it to kind of catch up. So they're letting people like me help out a little bit, and I think that's a step forward. I know they're trying to offer these training seminars throughout the U.S. and probably other countries as well.
Yeah.
Where you can tighten up on your Pumse skills, and they certified like the couple years ago. Actually, I met with Andy Brown in Korea, and they they certified us as judges, so
Okay.
they're trying to tighten that up. So I think that's all moves in the right direction. I have to laugh at some of the things that probably just because I'm too old, but the beach taekwondo,
Yeah.
you know, it looked great in Greece, with the Asian games, but they might not want those outfits in America.
Hmm.
So, so that was just kind of comical. And then, of course, we have all these new forms that we're seeing, and you know what I'm talking about, the
Yeah,
very
yeah,
air
yeah, yeah,
forms. And I'm like, oh, those look pretty to watch that guy do it, but I couldn't imagine
yeah,
some of us older masters trying to do those. But they're trying. It's they're trying to keep it fresh and moving on, and I think that's all good.
yeah. Well, you'd mentioned earlier on in the podcast that you also do Wing Chun under Samuel Kwok. Do you think it's a good thing to cross train? Obviously, you do. Could you tell us before? Obviously, I know you enjoy doing Hapkido and Kung Fu, etc. So, what are the main benefits you find to cross training, and when should you do it?
Well, I would say if you're at that stage in your life where you are a taekwondo competitor, you probably just need to stay a taekwondo competitor for right now. You don't want to mix up rules and
Yeah,
things, techniques that aren't going to be legit in the ring. But as you age, but also as your students age, you need to adapt, you need to change, and or evolve. And I really found that with White Tiger. At first, Taekwondo was all we did, and that was great. But then, okay, so now I've got a school full of black belts, and they're like, this doesn't really seem if it like it would work if I was on the street. And I'm like, well, Taekwondo really wasn't designed for self-defense. It's designed against a partner that is your weight division,
yeah,
your age and your rank. So you're right. It's not really meant for street self-defense. And so that's when we added in Hapkido. But one great thing about that is that's great for retention. So now I have students that have trained with me for 3 years or more and are black belts. Now we can start this process all over again with a Hapkido program. And so now my 3 or 4 year student has now turned into 6 or 8. And so that was just a great evolution for our schools to add that in. After you had a black belt in Taekwondo, you could start taking Hapkido. Now, one thing I have found is that my retention is very good, which is not a bad problem. But I have students that are fifth degree black belt.
yeah,
Normally these people would have their own school. They would be teaching their own students. But I think I made White Tiger too nice and nobody wants to go. Everybody wants to stay. And so I have so many fourth and fifth degree black belts. I've got the highest number of black belts under one roof. It's amazing. But I don't want to lose them. And they really don't want to go make their own. But I've had people come to me that are in their 50s and 60s and they're like, I love Taekwondo, but it's really discouraging to see my sidekick every year I age go down 1 inch,
yeah, yeah,
which is true, and it's like, can't lie to him. Like, no, it'll get better. Trust me,
yeah,
because it's not, your sidekick's going to go down. You're not going to have as much energy for sparring. And the same thing with Hapkido. They love Hapkido and they can still take all the falls, but the recovery takes longer.
yeah,
They have to go to work tomorrow. They don't want to be sore for the next 3 days. And so I understand them because I'm in the boat, I'm aging too. And so then Sifu Samuel Kwok, I met him years ago, and he said, you should learn Wing Chun, we should train. And at first, I didn't pay much mind, but then, I do have a little bit of background in Kung Fu, and I did always find it fascinating. But then I really thought this could be the answer for my aging students. It attracts mostly between like 50 and 70. Like they're not old enough yet where they feel like they need Tai Chi or something really
hmm
slow, but they want that in between. And it's been the perfect solution. Plus, it's fun for me too. I don't want to do just Taekwondo my whole life. So I'm enjoying the cross training and the cross teaching, but it is saving so many students that probably have aged out of Taekwondo or Hapkido.
yeah, yeah. And
So
Samuel
it's great.
Cocker's a great lineage as well, eh?
Oh yeah, yeah. And he brought me to China and to Hong Kong, and I went to Ip Man's house.
Yeah, it's brilliant. Yeah.
And I met the sons, and he has a daughter too that lives in Macau.
Okay.
And I was brought to Ip Man's tomb, and I was asked to perform at the tomb, which was really quite an honor.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, just the lineage is just so tight. It's just amazing. And his instructors from around the world are amazing. And that's what I'm looking forward to next week. We're all meeting in Alicante, and there'll probably be about maybe 65 instructors from around the world, and we're all going to train together.
Brilliant. Yeah, that's what martial arts is about. Eh? Big
Yeah.
family.
And the more that I train in these different styles, the more that I find that it is all the same,
Yeah.
like this leads to that, and now this makes that make more sense. So I really find it amazing how it really all is circular, how it really all comes back. But I do feel like it was a nice connection. My Taekwondo was my long range fighting, my Hapkido was my mid range, and my Wing Chun is my close range.
Yeah.
So I feel very complete with adding in the Wing Chun training.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, excellent. So one last question, because I understand you're tight for time because you're in Spain. So one last question from me is, I ask all the people I interview this, and what is it that makes Taekwondo different to other martial arts, and how would you describe what it takes to be a black belt?
Okay. Well, let me give you the easy question. What it takes to be a black belt? I'll be very blunt. It takes money in about 3 years. Okay.
Okay.
Not to be a black belt, but to get a black belt.
Yeah, to get one,
Okay.
right? Okay.
All right. But to be a black belt, it takes really truly living the tenets that we teach in martial arts. It's just so important that you give back to others, that you lead your life the right way to actually be a black belt. So anybody can get a black belt. It's very, very different. It takes a very special person to actually be a black belt. But Taekwondo was so great for my younger, energetic years. I mean, you just can't find a more beautiful martial arts. The kicks are so flamboyant. They're just beautiful. It's a lot of energy. I really do enjoy how they are constantly evolving, or at least making attempts to evolve, even though, I wouldn't say I could do all those new things that are out there, but it is really fun to watch. Whereas so many martial arts they're so stuck in tradition that even though our knowledge has moved on, they're still kind of stuck. Like for example, old days of training. It was perfectly acceptable to have to hold a cinder block over your head, go into a duck walk stance, and do laps around the school. That was,
Yeah.
and then also while they turned up the kerosene heater, as high as they could.
Yeah.
And that was perfectly acceptable, and now we're more educated. We're like, that's probably not good for us.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And, and it evolves and it moves on. And so there's new ways of training. And I think Taekwondo is very open. And I think it's because we have a very young president right now. President O is very young, and he's very willing to change and adapt, that it's very progressive. So I think it's a very exciting martial art. I do love the tradition, but I love the fact that it is willing to move on when it makes sense as well.
Yeah, that's a great answer. Yeah, yeah. So, how can people get in touch with you then?
Probably the best way is through Facebook.
Okay.
I'm on Facebook all the time. So Facebook, you can just find me through Master RONDY or White Tiger, but also the Global Alliance as well. So if you're looking for any mentoring or marketing help, that's the White Tiger Global Alliance. But you can always just reach me personally. And then my email is masterrondy, and that's MasterRondy at gmail.com.
Okay, that's excellent. Well, I'll put the links on our website as well, so people can find them and connect with you quite easily.
Okay, that sounds great.
That's great. I could speak to you for hours, to be honest, especially about all your business stuff as well. I mean, it's really interesting, and you've always got some amazing tools to help schools. So I'll certainly be checking out the Global Alliance, and hopefully we can maybe chat again sometime, if that would be okay.
Oh, absolutely. And you let me know what you need, and I'll let you know what's worked for me in the past. Okay.
Perfect. Okay, thank you
Okay.
very much. Thank you,
Oh, it's
Rondi.
such an honor. Thank you so much.
Enjoy the sun in Spain, and we'll speak to you soon.
Okay. Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye. So if you'd like to hear more interviews about Taekwondo, don't forget to subscribe, like, and leave a comment on iTunes. And also, you can check out our website on www.focusontaekwondo.com for all the links and more information on the podcast.